So, Michael, here we are, back at the Olympic Stadium for the first time since that special night. What's it like to be back?
It's amazing to be back, to be honest. I'm still obviously involved in football and going to commentate and going to do punditry work all around the world, and to have not come back is quite strange.
What was the feeling like when you arrived here on that night? Because there was quite a lot of pressure on the game itself.
Germany had just beat us in the last game at Wembley, Jules, and it was one of those where we simply had to win to gain qualification for the World Cup, so the pressure was huge, not to mention who we were playing against and where we were playing. It was one of those moments, one of those nights where you just think afterwards, wow, did we really do that?
Well, the game didn't start as planned. Germany took an early lead. At that point, you must have been thinking, not again.
To go 1-0 down, you think, this could be an embarrassment, you know, if you get beat 2, 3, 4 or something. So you can't help but worry about that.
That first goal you scored then, the equaliser, talk us through it.
Well, I remember a sort of a high ball getting looped towards the edge of the box and Nick Barmby just heading the ball down to me. He did brilliant, to be fair. And I remember the ball bouncing high and thinking, well, I can't miss. The only way I can miss if I balloon it. And if I hit it right in the middle of the ball, I might have ballooned it. So it was about sort of keeping a cool head and just, as I say, making sure it won't go high.
Were you here for the 5-1?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What do you remember from that night?
Oh, the atmosphere was just electric, to be honest with you. That was
if equality's been never in a million years a dream. It was one hell of a night.
The goal that made it 3-1, talk us through that one.
It was a similar technique to the first one. I had to almost take a bit more of a risk and try to flush it. Hit it right in the middle of the ball. But it was such a hard technique, so I just went for power. A great goalkeeper got a touch on it. He couldn't prevent it going in.
One Michael Owen!
We didn't set this up.
You're getting a bit embarrassed, Mike.
Hey?
You're getting a bit embarrassed.
A little bit.
And then when you get the hat-trick goal, I mean, it was an incredible moment for you personally. How did it feel? Did you realise quite how special it was going to be and that it would be remembered for this amount of time?
Not at the time, not when I scored the hat-trick. It was almost like icing on the cake. It's done, we've won the game.
You did a somersault.
I did a somersault. It was amazing.
And you don't normally do that.
I know.
I can't remember another time, maybe once again, that you did that.
Do you know, the first time I did it was only a few months earlier against Arsenal in the FA Cup final. And I didn't know what to do, so I did a handspring. You just never want to forget they're the best days of your life.
It was a fantastic hat-trick, reminded us just how good Michael Owen, we knew how good Michael Owen was from 3 years earlier in the World Cup in France. I remember Sven talking in the press conference, he said, we've got Michael Owen and he's special. We'd all been talking about how difficult Germany were to beat in their own backyard and the record and the years of hurt which had been exacerbated. And Sven very calmly said, you know, history is there to be changed. And Michael Owen changed it that night.
That team was such a good team. It was just such a shame that we didn't, you know, show that type of performance on a more regular basis. But we showed that night what we could do, and it was certainly a game that will go down in history for it.
On the shots at the full-time whistle when the England players are going off and there's all the celebrations, obviously all the cameras are panning to you. You've just scored this famous hat-trick and you're not wearing an England shirt. What happened?
Jules, there's a funny story about that one. I think I swapped with a guy called Boomer, and I suddenly realised after the game that, hang on a minute, we've just done something a bit special. I don't know why I wouldn't realise earlier, but I swapped shirts, and I remember going into the dressing room afterwards and everyone saying, where's your shirt? I always remember thinking, how am I going to get that back? We always used to get 2 shirts every game, so I pulled the shirt off the peg, the one that I hadn't used, and I wandered into the German dressing room.
Oh no!
Yeah, which you can imagine was quite sombre. And I sort of located the guy and I went up to him and said, can I just do a swap because that was the one I played? And he went, yeah. So I managed to get it back, which was brilliant, because imagine not having the shirt after such an iconic game.
So where is it now?
So I've got my shirt, the hat-trick ball and my boots all sat proudly in my games room.
A great night, a very special night, probably one of the most memorable ones in English football. And it all happened right there.